In today's tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how to make these adorable twisted Sherpa coffee sleeves that match the ear warmers that I did in an earlier video from this week. I'll have that video linked in the description box if you want to take a look, because as cute as they are on a coffee cup, they're adorable when you're wearing them on your head. And this is how it looks on a coffee mug. In this version, our original prototype, it's a little bit skinnier, and so I went ahead and made it chunkier, and I'll walk you through exactly how to do it. To make these adorable little coffee sleeves, we need to make a pattern piece and a template, and I'm using the sleeve that came with my coffee this morning. Okay, I've gone ahead and cut it in half. You can see that when it's in half, it's not exactly the same, okay? But we're just going to worry about this one and throw the other piece away. Start off, we're going to enlarge this piece here, and I'm going to be using a seam guide, but you could use any kind of a ruler. This one has just different measurements, and I'm going to go with making it a ½ inch bigger here. So I'm using this ½ inch mark here, and all I'm doing is putting the bottom of the ½ inch mark along the top, and I'm going to make a few marks here. If you were using, you can certainly do the same thing with a ruler, just use the ½ inch marks on here. And you get to decide how chunky and thick you want yours. Before I do this, I am going to tape this piece down so it doesn't move on me. I also want to mention that I'm using chipboard to make my pattern template from. You can use a cereal box or the chipboard that's on the back of a pad of paper. You can use regular paper, cardstock, a plastic cutting mat, whichever you like to use. Okay, so and now we're going to use this piece as a tracing guide. So we're going to shoot this up here, line it up with those marks that we just made, and then we're going to trace it. Okay. Same thing down here. And we're going to trace it. Okay, now we're going to use a ruler and then just connect those two pieces. We're going to cut this out using an X-Acto blade or any kind of a little razor blade here. Okay, so we have that. Now we need to come in a ½ inch. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to be using a tab that's going to make it easier. Oops, sorry, I keep messing with you. A ½ inch here, and the tabs are going to make it easier to sew this at the end. Okay, so again, I'm going to line this up. This gives us still that same angle, just in ½ inch shorter. Okay, I've cut both of those pieces out, and then I also need a piece that is about 1.25 inches wide by whatever the height of this piece is. And in this case, measuring it here, it's about, just about 3.5 inches or so. So you want to have this one 3.5 by 1.25. Next up, it's going to be important that you mark your pattern pieces. I'm going to flip them over here. The longer of the two pieces is for our contrast fabric, so let's start with that one. This is going to be the fold. We're going to cut our fabric on the fold so we get one long piece, and then we need to mark that the stretch needs to go this way. Okay, and then we want to say what this is. This is a Sherpa coffee sleeve. And how many we need. Okay, so we're saying that we're going to cut one of these from contrast knit or lycra. Contrast just meaning colorful. So if I later decide to change this, and I want to offer different widths, I'll know that these pieces go together. Okay, Now we need to cut our fabric. To align this on the fold here, make sure it's covered adequately on the front and the back, and it is. And now we just need to go ahead and cut it out. This really is best done with a rotary blade. All right, our pieces have all been cut out, and now we are ready to attach our tabs to the Sherpa. So right sides together, right side meaning the nappy part of the Sherpa. I made my tabs a little bit longer. That's okay. I'm just going to trim them off at the end. Now I'm going to go in with a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both ends here. I am using a serger, but you can use a sewing machine with a stretch stitch, or you can even sew this by hand if you don't have a sewing machine. I've gone ahead and added our tabs. They've been sewn into place, and I tell you what, that chipboard is giving the Sherpa a run for its money in terms of making a mess. All right, so now we need to take our main fabric and place it right sides together along here. Now, because of the wonky curves and because I did accounting math instead of that other kind that has letters in it, this is off a little bit, but don't worry about it. It's going to turn out just fine. So just focus on matching up your top edges here. We're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, and then a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, and then we'll come back and flip it right side out. It's been sewn together, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim these up so that they're the same. Who needs math with letters when you've got a rotary blade and a strong will? Okay. And just roughly trim it up. Perfect. We want to do right sides together, Sherpa facing out. We are matching up our ends here, and then we're just going to slide the top over so that this point here is roughly in the center of the back piece. And we're going to fold this one around here like a backward C. Do want to make sure that all of these layers here are aligned. If you skip one of the layers, that's not good. It's probably the only part that has to be really precision here. All right, and then now we're going to bring this one around. Okay, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine. Please do not use your serger. It will wreck it. If it doesn't break a needle, that will be the easiest thing that happens. It can bend your loopers. This is just way too thick to go through a serger. So instead, use your sewing machine. Lengthen your stitch if you need to, go over a couple of times if you need to, and I recommend that you use a zipper foot so that you can get in really nicely in this area here. If you're using a wider foot, it's kind of cattywampus and it doesn't sit as nice. Okay, I always show my flubs so that you can learn from them. What I want to show you is that although I thought I had gotten in here thick enough or deep enough with the needle, I didn't. This is what it looks like when you don't catch all those layers. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back and pick this out and then really make sure that I come in a true 1/4 inch here. Okay, I've gone back and I've stitched it well this time, making sure that I captured all of the layers, and I really made sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end, and I went over it a couple of times because this is going to get a lot of kind of abuse going on and off your coffee cups. Now, optionally, you can come in here very carefully so as to not cut any of your stitches, and you can use pinking shears to trim up this excess seam allowance. But it's optional. You don't have to do that. Okay, now we're ready to flip it out. So now if this bothers you, how this bit pops out here, then what I suggest is just to add a couple of tack down stitches. Make this as big as possible. And then I have a needle and thread here that's knotted at the end. I'm going to come in here. By the way, if you guys have stayed this long for the video, I want to say thank you because it's helping my channel do better in algorithms when you all stick for the whole thing. So thank you for doing that if you have. So here it is, our finished little coffee sleeve warmer that matches our headband. So now I need to go and make myself an ear warmer to match this. Okay, friends, thank you so much for watching and letting me kind of walk you through this project. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, let me know in the comments, and as soon as I see them, I'll reply back to you. See you soon.